Let's now go over how we configure the integration between the VMware NSX controller and the Brocade VCS fabric. So as you can see here, I have logged into my VCS fabric, and now I will basically define the NSX controller that I want to integrate with or connect with. And you can see I do that here by specifying the address of the NSX controller and then activating it. While I have now configured it, there is still no logical connection, you could say, but there is physical connection, since you can see here that I can ping the controller. So there is reachability. So now what I have to do is I have to take the certificate from the VCS fabric and then take that to the NSX manager and then add the Brocade VCS fabric. So I'm doing this here, I'm giving it a name, and then I'm adding the certificate. Since the Brocade VCS fabric is a single logical switch to the NSX, I only have to do this once, regardless of how many switches I have in my network. And as I do so, you can see now that the VCS fabric is connected to the NSX controller. Now that we have completed the configuration of VMware NSX with the Brocade VCS fabric, let's now go over how we can bridge from an NSX logical switch to a VLAN on the physical network. So you can see at this time here, we don't have any logical switches or VNIs mapped to any VLANs. So the next step we need to do is we go into the NSX manager, and then we say we want to do a layer 2 bridge from logical switch number 1 to VLAN number 4. As we deploy this, you can see now, as we go back into the VCS fabric, that in VLAN number 4, VNI number 6001 is mapped to that VLAN. And it's available across these tunnels shown there, named as or with IDs of 61,441 through 46. Let's now look at the MAC addresses on the VCS fabric. What you see here is a lot of MAC addresses from virtual machines that are active and behind the port of a tunnel ID. And then at the bottom there, we see one with a MAC address of 003, which is behind a lag, in this case port channel number 3. That is our bare metal server connected to the physical VLAN here. So now we want to show from the client perspective that we can ping that bare metal server. So the client VM here is inside logical switch number 1, or connected to logical switch number 1 inside the virtual infrastructure. And as we do an ARP, you can see that the bare metal server there, 003, is matching that IP address 3.2 that we've just pinged. So there's now layer 2 connectivity from this VM to the bare metal server sitting in VLAN number 4 in the physical infrastructure. So we went through bridging from a single NSX logical switch to a physical VLAN. Let's now review in a bit more detail properties about the Brocade VCS fabric, and I'll show you how we can map additional logical switches to VLANs in the physical network. So as we can see here, there are 2 switches in the VCS fabric called RBridge 1 and RBridge 2. They're configured with a virtual IP address, which is the IP address of the fabric itself, or you could say the logical chassis. As we list the NSX controllers, we can see that we are connected to 3 instances of the NSX controller, as shown here. And then finally, we can see stats on the traffic that goes across the VXLAN overlay the logical switch number 1 that we bridged out to VLAN number 4 just previously. Finally, we can see here that the hardware VTIP is deployed across both switches redundantly. In this case here, you can see that the tunnel 61442, for example, is available through both our bridge number 1 and our bridge number 2, simply because the hardware VTIP is deployed across both switches. Let me now show you how we can configure bridging across additional logical switches to other VLANs in the fabric. So we go into the NSX manager and we select the logical switch that we want to provide bridging for, in this case logical switch number 2, and we say we want to bridge that to VLAN number 5. And then we do the same thing for logical switch number 3, bridging it to VLAN number 6. As we go back to the VCS fabric, you can see as we list the VLANs that VLAN number 5 and VLAN number 6 are bridged respectively to VNI number 6002 and VNI number 6003, providing the layer 2 connectivity between logical switches within the NSX environment to the VLANs in the physical infrastructure. And as we look at the MAC addresses, we can see the MAC addresses populated across those two VLANs. So now we have seen how the integration with VMware NSX and Brocade fabrics enables you to do all provisioning from VMware NSX, as well as making changes to the physical infrastructure underneath without any disruptions to your applications. For more information about running VMware NSX on Brocade networks, please go to brocade.com. Thank you for watching.